so much, Sakshi and the ESL team, for having me over. As he mentioned, I am from St. Joseph's College of Commerce. I may sound a little old, but I passed out 10 years back. And the second batch, I did BBM. Back in the day, it was BBM. So it was the second batch of BBM when I was in college here in SSCC. And I came here about 15 minutes back, and I've just been walking around with Sakshi. And it just gives me a lot of nostalgic feelings when I'm just walking around and meeting a few of the teachers, because quite a few of the teachers who taught us still are very much here in college teaching you guys. So it just felt nice seeing all of them after a very long time. Just to introduce myself, I born and brought up in Bangalore. I did my schooling in Baldwin's. Anyone from Baldwin's here? Nobody at all? One? Okay. I did my schooling in Baldwin's. I then did my PUC in Jain College, SBMJC. Anyone from Jain College? Okay, we have a few. Okay. Oh, okay. So there are a few people, and then I came here to do my BBM in St. Joseph's College, and St. Joseph's College, I think, was the start of where eventually things took me to. And right out of college, I passed out in 2008, and Google happened at that time. I joined Google back in 2008, and I quit Google just 2 months back. So I was in Google for the last 9.5 years, and I can tell you a lot about that company. I'm sure there are quite a few. Does Google still come here for campus recruitment? Sorry? Last year. Oh, they didn't come this year. Okay. I spent 10 years in possibly the best employer in the world, and it was a fairy tale. And after that, I recently quit, and I'll tell you a little bit about what I'm planning to do right now. But before I start, I wanted to quickly hear from you guys in these next 45 minutes that we're here. You can see it says owning your career, but I just want to understand from you guys, what does owning your career mean? Can you give me a little indication of what you'll expect in the next 45 minutes, and hopefully together we can talk about it. Quick show, yeah?
With the phrase owning your career, I think that what I assume or expect would be you telling us how we have to be responsible, we have to be with our decisions, and whatever choice that we make, we have to own it and make sure that it's a part of what we do, who we are.
Perfect, okay. Absolutely. Anyone else wants to add anything? Or anything else that you would like to hear in this session? And I'll see if we can cover it, not just by myself, but hopefully with the inputs of everyone in the room as well. Yeah, Sakshi?
So, I would want to know about how, like, different things we do, like internships, and maybe the profiles we work at different places don't match. But how do you build it to a career? Like, how do you build yourself, your personality based on the job profiles you have been?
Okay, got it. Anyone else? Anything else that you want to add? Okay. And we'll try to touch upon both the inputs that came in as well. But in the next maybe 15 minutes, right, I want to start off by, I'm going to talk about 5 points. There's 5 points that I think are near and dear to me, because when I look back in these last 10 to 13, 15 years, I think it's these 4 to 5 points that have been very, very important for me. And when I connect the dots backward, they've played a very, very big role in where I am today and stuff. And I'm going to start off with the first thing. And I think it's a really important thing for you all to know. And keep in mind, this is from my perspective, right? Different people have different opinions on pretty much every point that I'm going to be talking about. But it's just a perspective that I hope probably resonates with some of you. And I'll start off with the first point. The first point that, and this is when I was in St. Joseph's, this was 10 years back, was in my mind, and I'm sure most of you are going through that mentally as well, I was like, I have to have a plan. Once I step out of college, I must have clarity in terms of what am I going to do. Am I going to join my dad's business? Am I going to do an MBA? Why do I need to do an MBA? I need to do an MBA. Okay, I want to go into the corporate world. I'm going to prepare myself for the campus recruitment, the companies that are going to come here, and I'm going to prepare myself accordingly. I almost beat myself on the fact that there needs to be a very clear plan when I step out of college in terms of how I want my life to be. But I'll tell you something, and this is 10 years later. One of the things that's really helped me take on new opportunities is to go with the flow. You will not have answers to everything at that very moment. At that very moment. Most of you all are in the final year or first year. Okay. Yeah, which makes things a little more blurry for you guys, right? Like you'll probably have so many things that you are thinking of that once I step out of college 2 years from now, 2.5 years from now, this is exactly what I want to do, this is what I want to do. A lot of us are also unclear about how that's going to be, right? So the first thing is go with the flow. And I'll give you a couple of examples how that worked for me. After I finished, like during my third year when the company started to come in, I've never for once imagined that when I stepped into college that, okay, Google is the one company that I want to be working for. This is my goal. No, it just so happened Google came, just like you would prepare for any other company. I prepared for Google. It accidentally happened to be the first company that came in. I prepared and I thankfully got in and I got selected. But I didn't give that too much thought and planning. And it's sometimes don't beat yourself on the fact that you need to have everything laid out very crystal clear. Things will fall in place. That's just the way everything works in life. It will all fall in place. Go with the flow. If you see an opportunity coming your way, it's probably for a reason. The world is probably giving you an indication and taking you in a certain direction because of some reason, because you're probably meant to go in that direction. There's a reason why they say we're destined to go the way we are, right? So I genuinely believe that destiny has a big role here. So go with the flow. Don't always imagine that there needs to be a plan for everything. See what opportunities are in front of you. Give it a shot. The one that works out is probably the best for it to work out. Similar, just the way I got into Google. The next thing was when, and I'll tell you why I'm doing what I am doing today, but I'm now planning to become a sports broadcaster, right? But it all started off with one opportunity that I got when I was in Google. That was to MC a particular event. It was a Google sales conference which had about 1,500 Googlers from around the country coming down to Hyderabad, and they wanted someone to MC the event. And for some reason I just raised my hand and said, you know what, I'm happy to do it. And ever since, that one event led to another, led to another, led to another. And now I quit Google to become a full-time MC and now pursuing to become a sports broadcaster. So it was just that one opportunity. I never planned that this is what I will be doing when I got into Google. Nor did I plan that I want to get into Google when I got into St. Joseph's. So all I'm saying is, especially early on in your career, go with the flow. You see opportunities come, just go with the flow, and you'll start realizing when you connect the dot backwards as to why some of these decisions are really important for you. Yeah? The next point I think is something that probably has changed a little over time. Back in, like when we were in college, I can probably safely say that the social media wasn't necessarily as big as how it is today. Each of us have smartphones here in the room. Every single one of us. We all have access to the internet. We are pretty much online every single day. And I'm talking about things you guys spend most time on. I'm talking about Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Right? I spend a lot of time on all of these products as well. Back 10 years back, I don't think we had this kind of exposure in terms of the different things that people are doing. Now, when I was in college or when I was in school growing up into PUC, etc., not just me but a lot of us, I'm talking about my colleagues and my classmates at the time, there were only two things that actually three things that we all used to think of. We either go and do higher studies after our BBM or BCom, I join my dad's business, or I get into the corporate world. And I'll tell you one thing for sure, there has been complete disruption in that space. Everything is now very, very different. And I'm pretty sure you guys are already aware ECell is also organizing a lot of things for you all in terms of different speakers coming. Different entrepreneurs today at at a very young age, coming and doing things that are not run of the mill. So before, no one ever imagined that they would become a baker or a gym instructor or a gym trainer or a Zumba trainer or a yoga trainer or anything for that matter, start their own company at the rate at which it's happening now. At the age of 18, 19, 20, etc. And I was just talking to Sakshi just before this, and she has her own plans of starting her own firm right after college. And I'll be very honest, I'm 30 years old, but the inspiration that I draw is from those kind of people around me. Because there's so much of exposure and access to information via the social media today. Like for example, I also try to keep myself as fit as possible, and I make sure my diet and my workouts are intact and stuff. So I follow a lot of people on Instagram who are gym trainers, Zumba trainers and yoga trainers, etc. These guys are between 20 and 25 years old. And it's very inspirational to see how successful they've been. They're very clear in what they want to do. It's the passion that drives what they do and not necessarily money. All of us, at the end of the day, want to earn money to make sure we live a stable life, the stability that we can provide to our families, etc., which is obviously very important. But at the end of the day, if we go after what we really like, and the fact that there is exposure today, you have more options. And the point of the ECell also is that becoming an entrepreneur in today's day and age at a very young age is by all means a very, very lucrative and possible stream for you all to consider. It's not like a thing of the past where even your own family and friends would be like, dude, are you really serious about this? It's possibly not going to work out. Make sure you just go do your studies, higher studies, go and join your dad's business. That's probably better. That is changing completely right now. And I think you guys are at a stage where you all can leverage the benefits of the exposure and the access to information that social media and the internet gives us today. You have a brilliant idea, a product idea. You have so much information online to read up on whether that idea is a good idea. There are people who will act as consultants and mentors around you who you can gain their expertise and knowledge from to know whether this is worth pursuing or not. So what I'm basically trying to say is today you have so many more options versus the traditional way of just going into your dad's business or doing higher studies. And for example, my dad kept telling me that you have to do your MBA, you have to do your MBA. I said, yeah. When I joined Google, I told him that I'm going to be in Google for 1 year. I'm going to be in Google for 2 years. 2 became 3, 4, 5. Eventually it was 10 years. And I never wanted to do my MBA because I just felt it didn't make sense for me at the time. And I'll probably tell you what I'm planning to do. So right now, my aim is to become a sports broadcaster. You guys know who a sports broadcaster is, like a sports commentator, a sports anchor, etc. So for example, I've been auditioning with Star Sports in the last 4 months. I auditioned with them for the Kabaddi League as a commentator. Right now, I quit Google. It's probably the hardest decision that I have taken. It's not easy for you to leave the best company in the world when they pay you also good money, and suddenly you want to do something else and you're not earning any money at all. It's a very big change, and it's not an easy decision, but I just had to do it. I just felt that was the right thing to do. And I'm right now, believe it or not, so I'm 30 years old. My mother tongue is Telugu, and so Star Sports is on the verge of launching a Telugu channel, Star Sports Telugu channel. They have a Star Sports Tamil channel as well. I'm not too sure if some of you all know. But because of the success of the Tamil channel, they're also going to be launching a Telugu channel. And this year's IPL is all. You guys watch cricket? How many of you watch cricket? Yeah, awesome. Right? So this year's IPL, you all know that the broadcasting rights have moved from Sony to Star, right? This time. And Star are going to be broadcasting IPL for the first time in Telugu as well. Telugu is my mother tongue, but I'm born and brought up in Bangalore, not in Andhra Pradesh or Telangana. So I have a very strong Tamil and Kannada influence in my dialect. And so what I speak is absolutely like rubbish. When I speak Telugu to people who speak Telugu, they literally want to slap me. right? So, believe it or not, I quit Google at the last 1.5 months. I'm going through formal Telugu classes from morning till evening, learning my own mother tongue, as funny as it sounds, so that I can prepare myself for the auditions for the IPL commentary, right? And what I'm trying to say is, there are these options that are available today. It doesn't have to be that something that gives you good money is the only option. And eventually you'll start to realize that what you like doing will get you the money that you want to, and you'll start loving what you like doing as well. What you do, right? So it was a very difficult decision for me, but I drew a lot of inspiration from the people around me. I learned a lot, and that inspiration keeps me strong every day. It's not easy. Every day I keep asking myself, wow, I was earning money, I'm not earning any money now. That's a big change. It's not easy mentally. It's a battle that you fight with your mind every single day. Despite the fact that you know you're doing what you love doing. But right now, for some time, it's not going to give you money, right? Because you're just starting off a new career. And so that was hard. But when I draw inspiration from people around me, and the beauty about the internet, yeah, and I worked for a tech company for the last 10 years, so I can talk about the internet, is that it gives you amazing access to people who are inspirational in what they're doing. Like, you want to become a baker, there are some amazing courses. There are people who are doing this from their house and have been extremely successful. You want to become a fitness instructor, you want to become an entrepreneur and start your own firm in something very, very different. There's so many things that people have to dance, sing. You don't need anything today to become an artist, because you have the power of something like a YouTube. You sit at home and you produce something and you put it online for the world to consume, and next thing you know, you can be a star, right? So the fact that the internet is available today the way it is gives you a lot more options. So when you are considering what your future should be like, look around and see what the internet has to offer and what's available online, because that will help you make a lot more informed decisions, because it's very different from how it used to be before. The third one, and this is something I'm sure you guys know. It's not rocket science. And I'm sort of preaching to the choir, if I must say so. Is constantly improving on your skill sets. Now, I've learned this the hard way. If I look back on one thing that could have done better, especially let's say even in my Google career, it will definitely be the fact that I could have learned a lot more than what I did learn. Now, in Google, you are surrounded by very, very smart people. The hiring bar is very high. You know that these are people who are very distinguished and established in what they do. They're very diverse backgrounds. There are people who have been in the special forces, like in the army, who come into Google. There are people who have been entrepreneurs who come into Google. People fresh out of college come into Google. You name it, very, very different backgrounds. So you're learning from very different set of people, very different backgrounds and mindsets. And the one thing you can do for sure in abundance in that sort of an environment is learn, learn, learn. Now, I was a manager at Google in an operations team, okay? And at the end of the day, every single thing, especially in a corporate world, involves data, involves numbers, right? You guys agree with me? And when I look back in hindsight, I felt I could have done a lot more for me to become a much better data analyst, to learn a lot more on how you could create dashboards, how you could possibly play around with numbers a lot more than maybe what I can do today. So you're constantly asking yourself, what is it that you can learn new and new every single time? And even now, like I said, as and when I'm learning Telugu, I know for sure it's a skill set that I'm going to learn for life. It's not just for the audition that I'm preparing for, but it's for life that I am gaining a skill set. So don't stop on that journey in terms of what you want to be learning. There's a constant wheel that will just keep going on and on. And let's put things out there, right? It's a very competitive world that we live in today. It is cutthroat in every sense of the word. We spoke about a few industries already in the last 10-15 minutes. I can tell you that every single industry have players who are established and formidable. And for someone new, like every one of us trying to do something new, there's competition in every sense of the word that exists out there. And if you need to stand the test of time, we need to keep upskilling every now and then. Think about what that one skill should be for you. Even you could start off by saying, this year I'll learn this one skill. I don't know what that one skill is. For someone it could be learning a new form of dance. For someone else it could be going to this one particular course that's for 6 months. So these skill sets can range from anything under the sun. It could be sports related, it could be passion related, it could be in your corporate job or anything for that matter. Think about what that one skill is and break it down. You don't need to say, okay, this is what I want to learn. Every year, every 6 months, give yourself that one skill that you really want to improve on. And for example, for myself, it's a big learning for me. Now that I'm not learning Telugu from scratch, but I'm actually learning a good part of Telugu because I used to speak absolute rubbish before, like I said. It's also giving me confidence that I can learn another language very soon right after I'm done with this. Like I can speak Hindi again. I'm not very fluent in Hindi, but I want to become fluent in Hindi. Like I mentioned to you guys, apart from me becoming a sports broadcaster, I also MC. I MC corporate events. I MC weddings. So I'm a freelance MC as well. And there are no disadvantages of knowing more languages as an MC when you're speaking to an audience, right? So one thing that one skill is teaching me, and when I'm in the process of learning one language, it's telling me that I can learn another language as well. And it's possible. It's doable in a certain time frame if you put your mind to it. So that whole thing of learning every single time, and don't be harsh on yourself and say, I need to learn 10 things in this next 1 year. No, you can do it 1, do 2, start small, but make sure you make that happen. And you guys are in your first year, so you still have 2.5 years ahead of you. Let's say, for example, you want to get into the corporate world, if that's one of your aims. Think about, for you to get into a particular company, what is it that you would need right up front now? And for you to build that bridge, are there certain things that you could start doing to start walking in that direction? And if you're able to do that now, rest assured that the interview or anything at that point of time is a cakewalk, because you've already done the hard work before, right? So it may not be in college, like I said, it may be something related to your passion, it may be something very different, but identify, even if it's one at a time for a certain duration, start doing that. You'll realize that you'll start benefiting, and one will lead to another, will lead to another. Yeah. And yes, just 2 more points. The 4th point, and this is hard, is it's okay to fail. I've learned things the hard way. For example, things went well for me in Google. Things started to work fine. I managed to grow in the company. It's a wonderful company, and if you grow in Google, it's a great thing. It gave me a lot of confidence. It made me the person who I am. But at the same time, it did not prepare me for failures as well. And after I quit Google and then I started auditioning with Star and stuff, I realized that I have a long way to go. I got rejected the first time I auditioned for Kabaddi. Second time I auditioned for football. I got shortlisted for the final selection, so it was a good step forward, but I got rejected in the final selection. And now I've given up a lot to now learn a new language and hopefully prepare myself for another audition, not knowing what's going to happen. But I know that if I get rejected, I'm okay with that. And the fact that what rejection and failure will teach you is that you will only get stronger and stronger. And it was very hard for me. It was very hard for me because I had things going for me at Google. And so suddenly when someone said no, it was very hard for me to accept that. And so and the earlier you realize that by trying what you want to do and not necessarily waiting for perfection and hoping that it will work out, start early and you start young and you start trying out new things, the more you fall, I can rest assured, and as cliched as it sounds, it really, really is true. Genuinely speaking, like I said, I've sacrificed and compromised on a lot in the auditions that I'm preparing for right now. But I know for sure if they call me up and say, I'm sorry you're not selected, I'm going to be fine with that. I'm used to rejection, but it's not going to stop me from trying. Because I know for sure if there's two things that I know as to why I'm pursuing becoming a sports broadcaster, is confidence in my own skill and ability, and that deep down burning desire to make it happen. And the fact that I have these two, I know I belong there, but it's probably a matter of time. Maybe I'm not ready now, but I will get there soon, and that's why I'm trying to put in the hours. Right? So it's okay to get rejected. It's absolutely fine. It's hard at that time because mentally, rejection is tough. Rejection is tough in relationships. Rejection is tough in our professional space. It's tough in every area because as humans, we aren't used to being rejected because we want to get things the way we want it to be, right? And when I started emceeing recently, I've started to do a lot of external events. I used to do a lot of Google events before. I knew the audience, I knew the speakers, I knew the agenda. It was a lot easier for me. And now when I started to do emceeing outside, I failed. And like last week I was in Delhi hosting an event, and it was possibly my worst performance as an MC. I just didn't do a good job. And unfortunately I had to come out and take down my takeaways and figure out what I need to improve. But that's how I'm going to learn. It wasn't easy. I was like, yeah, I know how to MC. I've done so many events at Google. It's going to be easy for me. But next thing I know, put myself in the world outside. I was tough. I cracked under pressure. Right? So it's okay for us to fail. And now I'm getting a lot more numb to it. So initially it's tough. Then you become numb to it. And then you move to a time when you start becoming successful. You start getting things the way you want to because you've already gone through the grind. You've already learned things through your mistakes and through your failures. Right? So it's okay to get rejected. Don't get dejected by being rejected. That wasn't intended, but it's a lot harder. Mentally, it's a lot harder. But I can just tell you that every rejection, and you hear a lot of these motivational speakers and people who have established themselves in various industries say fail early. And there's a reason why they say that. Like I said, it's very cliched as it sounds, but it's failure that has made me a lot more confident right now. In these 3 months, I've learned a lot just by failing multiple times. Because then when I'm preparing for my next assignment, I'm not dejected because I failed, but I'm pushing myself stronger because I know for sure it's only a matter of time before I get there. And I think that's really important that we think about that. You think about the fact that it's not always going to work out the way you want it to work out. And I was in this Google bubble where things just worked out. We genuinely live in a Google bubble. Do you guys know how it is to work for Google? Sorry?
I read reports and excerpts.
Yeah, give me one or two things that you have heard about working for Google.
It's a company where they look at your personal growth as well as the company's growth as well.
Fair enough, yeah. What else? Anyone got anything about Google?
One of the best places to work.
Yeah. There's a reason why they are possibly the best employer on the planet today. They shower you with all the goodies that you need in life. We get Diwali gifts, we get free food every single day. You know what our lunches and breakfasts are South Indian, continental, North Indian, Chinese, Mexican, pizza, salad, subs, desserts. By the way, it's almost like a Google policy that anywhere in the office you are, within 100 meters you should have food around you. And I'm talking about fancy food, alright? It's not run-of-the-mill food. So they pamper us in every sense of the word. They give us, the last 10 years in Google, every single year we were gifted a phone, the latest Google phone for Diwali every year. Yeah, I don't have those phones right now, but that's just the way that company was. They had an amazing employee retention strategy, and it's also possibly the biggest company on the planet today. So just working for Google meant so much, right? And I was in that bubble and things worked out in a company like Google. And I was like, yeah man, this is going to be awesome. Next thing I know, I step out, I'm back to being a small grain of rice. Because I was established in that space. But now I need to go back all the way to the start to establish myself in another space. And that's on the sports broadcasting side. It's okay to fail. It's okay. And when you test out on new areas is when you realize what you like. And in one of my emceeing stints, I happened to host a very senior executive in Google who was, I think, a VP in Google sales in Ireland, in Dublin. And he came down to India and we hosted him for a fireside chat and on a very similar topic on career development. And my last question to him was, if there's any advice that you have to the audience here on career development, what would that be? And this was almost 5 years back, and I can tell you one thing. I don't know, Sakshi, if I told you this at the Under 25 offsite, but what he told me and the rest of the audience stuck with me up till now, and I know for sure it will stay with me for the rest of my life, is consider your life as a pyramid. And this guy, he was a very senior exec doing very well in a fancy company like Google. He said, consider your life as a pyramid. The base is the broadest, right, in a pyramid, is the first 20 years, is the first 10 years of your life. And that's age 21 to 30. Around the time when we step out of college, basically, right? Those 10 years, there's a reason why that pyramid is the broadest. Explore as many things as possible. Work in as many different industries as possible. Do random things. I'm not saying random like random. Think about it, but do things in different areas, right? Don't assume. Now, let's say, for example, you step out of college, you get into one company, like, this is it. You get into E&Y, for example, audit. Audit is my life. I'm going to spend the next 40 years of my life doing audit. No, maybe there's something else that you're going to be even better at, right? But experiment as much as you can in the first 10 years of your life. Move companies if required, move job roles, move designations, try different things from being an entrepreneur to an employee. Try your passion out, do everything possible. The next 10 years, it sort of narrows down a little bit. Is age 31 to 40. From the 5 or 7 things that you probably tried, realize that these are 2-3 things that you like doing. And you start spending more time doing that. And the last 20 years, which is 41 to 60, is that one, the top of the pyramid. You've already identified that one thing that you know you're going to do. You've tried a whole bunch of things in the last 20 years. Then the last 20 years from 41 to 60 is when you rake in the money. You're going to get money because you know that one thing that you're really good at by then. Because you've spent 20 years trying multiple things, then you narrowed it down to a few things, and now you're focusing on just that one thing for the next 20 years of your life. And that stuck with me. And that really resonated with me because in Google we try to do that. I try to move different teams, different products, different roles, learning new skill sets. And this step of me to step out of the Google bubble and come outside and face the world outside was another step in that direction, is to try different things and see what happens. I'm married to a Googler who I had the privilege of meeting at Google as well. So Google, in a real sense of the word, has been a search engine for me, and I managed to find her. So professionally and personally, Google's given me a lot, and I owe that company a lot because it helped me find my passion. I found Deepti there as well. When I quit Google, yes, I quit Google 2 months back, and we were in Hyderabad for the last 10 years in Google Hyderabad, and we wanted a change. So I decided to quit Google and pursue my passion. This is something that we both have been thinking about for a while. And we also decided to move locations. So we both moved to Google Singapore. So we're sort of based out of Singapore now. And she's taken up the role in Google Singapore as a manager there. And so she's working in Google Singapore. I'm basically shuttling between Singapore and India, trying to pursue what I'm pursuing right now, and I need to be in India for that right now. So we're just doing that, and that sort of advice really stuck with me, and it's okay for you to fail because you're trying different things early on in your career. And the last point that I wanted to make, we're running out of time and I'll try to pause for questions also, is, I think I've already told you this, a lot of you people might ask questions about, what is the right thing to do after college? Should I do my MBA? Should I go into the corporate world? It's the $1 million question, right? There is no right or wrong answer, and I can't answer that for you, nor can anyone else answer that for you. You will find the answer within. And all I'm saying is some of these points that I mentioned will help you find that answer. Go with the flow. Keep your eyes and ears open. You will find opportunities, even with someone you're going to meet at a dinner party. You're just heading out for dinner with friends, and meeting someone new. You'll find some opportunities. Go with the flow. And I'm in that frame of mind right now where I'm basically going to tell you all, if there's one thing that you'll really love doing, give it a shot. you don't want to look back and say that, with regret, say that I could have done that. And we thought about it a long time. We thought about it for a long time. On me deciding to quit Google. It was a good position. I was getting good money in a very good company, and I know things are going to be very drastically different for me if I quit. But deep down inside, I knew that this is what I wanted. And Deepthi has always been very supportive from the very beginning. And she knew that this is what I wanted, and she's been very supportive, thankfully. That way it's worked out. So she's the breadwinner for me right now. And thanks to her, I'm able to go out and pursue what I'm doing. So if the circumstance and the situation permits and allows you to do what you want to do, in this day and age where there's so much of inspiration from people who are exactly your age or even younger, my only last piece of advice will be to really give it a shot. Don't look back. You're never going to regret what you're going to be doing, because you'll only learn. You learn from your mistakes and you'll keep moving forward. And I have no idea if I'm ever going to crack an audition, if I'm ever going to be in the commentary box one day. I have no idea, but all I can do is give it a shot. I can try, and if it succeeds, then there's no looking back. If it doesn't succeed, I'm going to try, and we'll see where it takes me. Maybe another door will open up a year from now. I have no idea. Maybe I'll come back 5 years from now and say I'm actually established in another industry altogether. And that was because it caught my fancy and I started liking that. I don't know where life is going to take me. But all I'm saying is, don't close yourself on one particular thing at a very early stage in your career. Keep your options open. Explore different things. Keep learning and failing, and you'll start realizing what you like doing. And the second you start realizing what you like doing, it's not going to be hard for you to go back to office or go back to work the next morning. I think that's really important. That's all I have.